Alright, so look, a while back, there were 3 bells that were added into the game at the exact same time. Now for Deepwoken, this is revolutionary, as they usually don't emphasize on updating their bells or adding new bells into the game. They really like step away from touching their bells in general. So the fact that they added 3 new bells into the game on the same day was insane for most Deepwoken players. Now, although this is the case, you rarely ever see anybody use these 3 bells, and that's mainly because these bells are not very strong. And on release, if you look back, you could clearly see that these bells were very rushed. The bells we are talking about are Smokescreen, Smite, and Preservation. Now, let's talk about Preservation. Basically, it's this Yellow Reaper reskin that carries knocks players and parries incoming damage only if it's corrupted, meaning if it's not corrupted, they just drop to the ground as soon as it's the orb. The orb pops and the player is still knocked, it is dropped to the ground, although they can wake up inside the orb. It's a support bell, and a lot of players do not use support bells or use support builds in general, so it's quite useless, and Resurrection is a much better alternative. If you look at Preservation and you look at how you use it, you just think that it basically does the same thing as if you carried a player, except they can just wake up. That's the only difference between Preservation and just carrying a player. Now, Smokescreen, Zabuza Black Fog Effect. You create fog, mist, and it makes you invisible, and you can escape with it. Except it's not very big, so you can't go far, and Yoru's a better escape option. It also has end lag, I think, whenever you come out, so it's not very good for engaging or surprising an opponent either. Now, Smite, probably the best bell out of these 3. You summon orbs, they fly at your opponent, and they do damage. Sounds simple enough. There's no way they can mess this bell up, right? Wrong, because Ice Cubes does this and literally does it better. It's very slow. Its projectile speed is terrible. It's hard to land if it's not corrupted because it doesn't auto-track if it's not corrupted. It doesn't do much partial damage, so it's easily blockable. It doesn't do any damage. It does like 3% per hit, which sucks because you only land like at most 1, which is 3% damage, which I guess you could say is 3% passive damage. But you have bells like Sharbo, which is like 25% or 20% damage, and you can confirm it. So why would you not just use Sharbo? Now, all 3 of these bells are in need of some buffs. So let's talk about some buffs they can do to make these bells a lot stronger. Preservation. First off, it wakes players immediately whenever it grasps them. It just wakes them immediately, so it's not as just picking them up and taking them somewhere. It's not the same. And whenever they're inside the orb, it heals them slowly 2% per second for a span of 20 seconds. So in total, it'll heal up to 40%. This allows it to be basically the same as Resurrection, but you could choose which you rather prefer. Would you rather prefer stopping them from being knocked, or would you rather prefer carrying players and healing them slowly? And it's just your preference when it comes to support builds, and it could make support builds have more variety. The corrupted one, it could heal faster, and it works more like the Valid Mastery Return, meaning you can use it from anywhere, and if they're in your guild, you pick them up, or in your Valid, you pick them up. Now, Smite, there's a lot they could do. It should just auto-track base. You shouldn't have to get the corrupted version, so you can land it. That's ridiculous. It should do more damage. It should do more partial damage, and the corrupted version should apply the storm lightning effects. The little lightning strike you ever see, just make it red because the bell is red, applying the lightning stun and burning and doing more damage, because Smite is literally just another turn for lightning. Smokescreen is a little bit more of a difficult case. I really don't know what more they could do for Smokescreen. The concept of Smokescreen is dick regardless. Like, they could really emphasize more on the blind effect, so they can't see anything. It's more of like the blind like flaw, but more. And then they could make it bigger, but that's really all I can think of. Subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, follow me on Twitter, and like the video. And we're returning to the content creator scene. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.